This is Wrestling.
Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for that intro. That was great.
Well, you know, I did not lie. You have got quite the buzz around you.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I need you to ring announce, like for me, every time I have a match. I need you in the ring before. I need you to hype me up.
Well, you know what? I actually might have that chance, and I'll tell you why. Mania Week wouldn't be complete without Mariah May, who is coming.
Tickets are on sale now for Texas Style Wrestling's Unfoolish Business, live Friday, April 1st from the fabulous TSW Plus Studios in Addison, Texas. Come be a part of the action and enjoy a one-of-a-kind wrestling experience that you won't find anywhere else. Special group discounts are available. For ticket information, please visit tswplus.com.
Have you wrestled in America before? Will this be your first trip?
No, so I've never wrestled in America. I have been to Mania Week. I went as a fan. I just started training. I went to New Orleans, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy times there.
Yeah.
So my first ever experience, and what you said is right. Like we literally invade like the city. Like it's crazy. Like fans, all the other promotions. Obviously, WWE is huge, and everything that they do between your access and all the stuff they have, like just in the streets, like the banners and stuff. So
Totally.
I've been as a fan. I went to the Rumble as well in Phoenix, but as a wrestler, no. So I had only been on shows for about a year, and then we went into lockdown. And I felt like if I had kept going like that, I think, maybe I would have probably gone, but nothing was in the works. And then all of a sudden, like we come back after lockdown, and it's just gone from like 0 to 100. And then it was like, hey, are you free to wrestle in Texas? And I was like, yes. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm there. I'm coming. So it's literally a dream come true for me. So I'm so excited. So I was already going to Mania Week for something else, not wrestling, but it's wrestling related, which will be announced soon, I'm sure. And then I got offered that booking. For me to get to wrestle there was just a bonus. So at that point, it was my first, like that was my official wrestling debut. But there are potentially other things happening before. It's just about getting that pen on paper and confirming it and announcing it. But potentially could be things before, but if not, that will be my first time.
Guys, with the female performers, because it's always like, okay, you guys have to go out there and kick ass like the men, but there's this pressure to also look really good doing it. And I always say you guys should get paid fucking double, man, for that. Like, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, I wouldn't say it's from everyone, but there is certainly, like you said, like this, I think it's like a vocal minority. Like there's not that many of them, but they're very loud about, I guess sometimes like people are like, oh, she's a diva about me.
Sure.
And or this is a compliment I'll get a lot, and it's like, oh, you know the thing about Mariah, she looks great, but she's a really good worker, or like she's a great wrestler. But they kind of say it like they're surprised I'm a good wrestler.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, thanks for saying I look good, and thanks for saying I'm a good worker, because I am, thank you. But why are you surprised? Like I'm very consistent with training. I'm very consistent in the gym. I'm a childhood fan, which to a degree I think helps because the psychology of wrestling is like ingrained in you because you know like the back of your hand.
Sure.
But there's definitely, I think, an assumption around it, which is crazy to me because we all come in, different looks, shapes, and sizes. That's why wrestling's cool. That's why, I don't know, like if you look at the Avengers, they all look a little bit different. Yeah. And it's cool because there's someone for everyone to relate to. And I think it's the same thing with wrestling. Like, obviously we're all athletes and there's fitness levels, etc. we need to meet. But I think it's cool that everybody looks different. But it's like now you're not allowed to look like a diva. And it's like, but why?
Yeah.
If you were a model that started wrestling, that's cool. But like for me, it's like people assume that, and I'm like, oh, I'm a childhood wrestling fan. They're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, my character is called the Glamour. It's actually a play on that. It's like, people kind of think, oh, you only got it because you're pretty. And the Glamour character is like, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't work hard. I did get it because I was pretty. I am a diva. Right. So it kind of plays on like, I am whatever you say I am. But, between
that's
like
smart.
you and I, and yeah, like I'm gonna use it to make money. But like between like us, talking as like, a worker, it's like, it can be very frustrating. And my best friend, she's gorgeous and she gets the exact same thing. And it's so frustrating because it's like, give me a chance. Like just give me, you don't have to like me, but just at least be open-minded about it, or stop being like, oh, she's actually a really good wrestler. Just say like, she is a really good wrestler. Like sometimes there are things that I feel can't be taught. There are energies, there are charismas about people. And I think Jeff Hardy was one of those people where, and as well, like it was the way that he was booked. There was just something about him. Like like Mickie James as well. She was the underdog. You know, you were just dying for it. It was never fair. Like she kept losing and it wasn't fair because they kept cheating. I think especially as a child, it is that simple. You know, we're smart and like, you know, when we watch wrestling now, it's not, you know, it's never good enough and it's got to be complex. Whereas for kids, it's like, you know, that is enough. Like Jeff Hardy's a good guy and he comes out in this colorful glow in the dark paint and he does the really cool moves. And, you know, he's against like Randy Orton, who was the best heel when I was younger. Like, I mean, now I adore Randy Orton, but as a child, him and Edge, there was hatred. There was real hatred, right?
You're the match that you're most proud of to date.
Oh, that's a really good question. A lot of the work I've done that has got a lot of reaction has been as a heel.
Sure.
You know, I think, like you said, that whole stereotype of she's pretty, it's actually easier just to be like, yeah, I am a diva, like I didn't earn it, and run with that and then be like an entitled brat. So I'm not often babyface, or when I am, it's at like family shows, so it doesn't get the online hype. But I wrestled Chikara and I was a babyface, and you know, she'd jumped me at the last show. So this show I was coming out the gate hot, and so this was my like debut at this show, and at first the crowd were like, but by the end of it, they were like so into it because I'd like won them over, because at first they didn't know me. And I feel like the match we did and the fire and like the passion I had, I never won a crowd over like that. Like I'd never like really seen how that worked. And,
Sure.
And like afterwards they gave me like a standing ovation. Like I had told it tits. I was like, oh my God, like I've never like an adult to win like an adult crowd over that are very smart. Because at first they were just, you know, and then by the end they were like going for it, and I was like, oh wow, like that was special, that match, because
That's
it kind of
fantastic.
showed me like, you are a good babyface, Mariah, because I was like, yeah, I'm a heel, and I'm like, actually, you know what, I can do both. But yeah, so they're a couple to me. But yeah, I've done a lot in the past, sort of just after lockdown, that I'm really proud of, and it's been a really big step up for me. Actually, a great bit of advice I had a WWE tryout at the NXT UK Performance Center here. And Regal actually gave some really, like, obviously Regal was just like a book of knowledge. Yeah. But he gave this bit of advice that really like stuck with me, because he was like, before you go out, like think about things that could go wrong. Like if you slip on your entrance, what would your character do? You know, because it could happen. And you don't want to panic. And like, it was really interesting, because then I did start to think about that. I'm like, what would my character do if I did this? And I think that's really good, to just explore your character and all the possibilities. And then you have these great covers and stuff like that, because random things happen, like Titus O'Neil running down the ramp and like sliding under the ring by accident.
And he'll never live that down.
But you know, you have to own that. Like that, you know, it has to be. And I thought that was really, really good. So yeah, that's something I'm very conscious of, you know. And I think it's slightly easier as a heel, because if you fall over as a heel, you do anything embarrassing, you know, they will laugh at you and it's fine. Whereas as a baby face, you're like, you
get the sympathy, right?
Oopsies. But then there's a charm to that. There's a charm to being like, whoop, and then running it back and covering it and whatever. But I did track and field at school, and I did theatre, and I was very academic as well. So my teachers were like, you have so many options. What do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to be a wrestler. And everyone was like, no, you can't. You're not allowed to do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And I was really struggling. And I actually stumbled across the documentary about Paige. Okay. And seeing her make it, like I cried. I should have teared watching it, because I just was like, it can be done. It's really sweet. Like on my birthday, she came into my Twitch stream and stuff like that, and she sent me a message and stuff. She's really cool. So definitely soon. Zoe, we were planning to do Mania week together. Unfortunately, Zoe can't wrestle at the moment, but she will be back soon. So once she's back, got a lot of things in the pipeline. Germany, America, like everyone wants a little bit of the dream dolls, so it's definitely something that will be coming soon. It's just a case of when Zoe's ready, and we've got plans, we've got matching gear, we've got everything coming to ITV2, which was one of our like big channels over here, and it's called DP. It's great. It's about wrestling. And I actually, I can't say too much because it's just been announced. It's coming out in March. It's just been in the news that it's coming out, but they haven't named characters. They haven't said anything, so I feel like I'm not allowed to say anything. So
Okay.
which is all these like great pictures of me. I just see some wrestling clips, things like that. That's Mariah May X. Twitter is great, so you'll get pictures on there, but Twitter's cool because I can give a lot of updates really easily.
Sure.
And I also tried, if you want to like ever send me questions or talk to me, like I use my Twitter a lot to try and respond to people, and like people send me pictures in their merch, things like that. So that's Mariah May X. If you ever want to tag me in that stuff, I love seeing it. I've got YouTube as well. That's Mariah May X. I've kept it uniform, and YouTube's great. You'll see vlogs, you'll see behind the scenes, workouts, the matches I can post. I've also got a lot of my recent matches on Rev Pro on demand if you guys want to check out some of my stuff. But I've got little bits and pieces on my YouTube as well. So yeah, pretty much on all those platforms.
What about your rivalry with Hannah?
There's nothing I can have that just Hannah has to be involved. She's obsessed with me. She's obsessed with me.
Yeah.
I open up my Twitter every day and I'm like, I'm just going to respond to my fans. And who's in my mentions? Hannah Taylor. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do a signing in Philly. How cool is that? I'm going to Philly. Who else is going to Philly for the exact same signing? Hannah. She's obsessed. And there are things I can't announce yet, but I've heard rumors that she's also coming because she's texting me. She's like, should we book our flights together? No, we shouldn't. She's obsessed with me. She just wants to be, she's like the goth doppelganger for me, basically. It's not a rivalry. She's just a fan. She's just a really big fan of me. That's all it is.
Well, it comes with the territory. I've got my fans too. I can relate.
You know what it's like.
Yeah,
they get crazy.
But I will say this, and I even told Hannah that her new ring gear is some next level business. So
if you want to talk about ring gear, I invented that. Okay, like my look. No, she's very cool. She has a very cool look. Because the cool thing, am I killing the business? I'm using the bad word of kayfabe, but Hannah and I are actually best friends. She's like a sister to me, and she really is like my goth side, and we'll talk all the time about ideas. And I just love, like, she's like I'm like a dance mom. She's like I love, like, I'm like, do this, because it's so fun. Because where my character, I'm like the glamour. Like I have really over the top, ring gear and very self-obsessed and all of this. Hannah's very different because she's like otherworldly. She's very alternative. She's like believe in Hannah Taylor, and she's very edgy. So I'm like, I really get my nails into it, and I'm like coming up with ideas for her because it's like me secretly living out like a little bit of my dreams. Because when I was younger, I used to be a little bit of like, I had some piercings and stuff like that.
Sure.
I used to be a little bit edgy. So I'm like reliving that dream with Hannah. But it's very cool because like I feel like we can bounce ideas off each other.
Legitimate. This is all bullshit aside. There's a legitimate buzz about you in this country, in this industry, across several different platforms. And I know that people that are watching right now and people that are be hearing this, I mean, they're anticipating your arrival to America.
No biggie. Here
whatever.
I go. But that's the thing, like I said, like I feel that like I love British wrestling, and I came up in British wrestling. But I know who my fans, I see my fans, and like they're dying for me to come to America. I would drive 7 hours to go to a show on my own,
right,
and like just help out. Like I've done the miles, like, and I'm only new, so that's only gonna get more as we go on. Sure. But it's like, I literally sacrificed my like early 20s to, I didn't go out, I didn't go drinking at the weekend, nothing. I had no desire to do it because I just wanted to train, I just wanted to wrestle. So it's like, the sacrifices I've made are why I'm at where I'm at now. But if you guys want to give me that Eva Marie heat, please do it. I kind of get that in British wrestling because they're like, oh, she's pretty.
So
right, because when AJ Lee did that promo and she was like, so I relate to Nikki Bella because I have my Louboutins. I dress fancy. Like when I was younger, I was like, if I have like a body like Nikki Bella in 5 years, I'm happy for life. So I like wanted to be Nikki Bella, and then AJ Lee was like, you can never lace up my Chuck Taylors, and I was like, I wear Converse as well though. Like I wear heels. I also wear Converse. Right. Like I dress fancy, but I also love wrestling, and like I'll come home and get in my like Star Wars pajamas and just, you know what I mean? Like yeah, like you'll never see them on Instagram, but they're there.
So who is your dream opponent right now today?
Sasha Banks.
The dream match, that would be awesome, and I hope it happens.
I feel like that's one of those things. Like if it ever happened, I would be like, okay, I did it. Because actually, when I was 17, 18, that was when the Divas Revolution was happening, and Sasha Banks and Charlotte were having these amazing matches. And I remember she was one of the people that I watched, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, I remember watching a match with Sasha and Becky at one of the takeovers.
Okay.
I was hyped. Like, I felt it, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. So I feel like if we feuded, there would be so many ways we could go. Like, there's the obvious one with my character and her character, but then there's so many routes we could go down with the fact that she was one of my inspirations to wrestle. There are, you see the Mickie James and Trish storyline. So many different ways you could do things, though. I do think as well, like, there's parallels. Like, they released this video package of Sasha Banks, and it's like basically about how much of a superstar Sasha Banks is. Like, she's mainstream. It's like she's like, in the TV shows and this and that. And I'm like, hey, Sasha, like, I'm in a TV show, and I did it at an independent level. So, like, me and you, we're the same. I'm just not in the same league as you yet. But imagine when I am. So, like, it's very... I really look up to her. Like, she's basically doing the things that I aspire to do and think more wrestlers should do.
When you come to town, Mariah, this has been so much fun.
This is so good.
A blast. I'll see you in Texas.
Fantasy, hot thing. Do you want to play with me?
This is Wrestling.
Is part of the Tricky Kid Media Network and distributed by iHeartRadio and available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Google Play Store. Subscribe for free on the iHeartRadio app or on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Twitter at TrickyKid2 and at @cat_tabby. You can also follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/DJ Tricky Kid or twitch.tv/tabbycat.